iGolftv, waking up your game.
DaveMarsh, iGolftv, back once again. Now I've been going through and working through videos with you. I've shown you how to change your golf swing. I've shown you how to chip the ball and pitch the ball better. We've worked through putting techniques. But the strongest way to make a real change, not just on the golf course, but also in life in general, is to begin to look at the interior side of your life. The interior side of golf is such a massive parallel to life. I've never found a game myself that has so many similarities. Life, golf, golf, life. And what I want to introduce you to is some of the ways that I've really been able to change my game, change my thinking, change this interior makeup that I've had for so long. And I want to let you in on some of the secrets that have given me an opportunity to what I call start learning rather than burning every time I play golf. And now I'm in a place where I hit a golf shot and I learn from that golf shot. And that doesn't mean over-analyzing, that doesn't mean getting too in-depth. It means having a different relationship with the game. And this is very important for your enjoyment. When was golf supposed to be a game that made us so angry? When was golf supposed to be a game that really upset you or made you walk away or drive away from the course in disgust at yourself? It isn't supposed to be like that, but we're programmed in a way that gets us into a place where there's really no escape. And I'm going to unlock some of the secrets, some of the keys to helping you become a different player. And so yes, I want to improve your technique, and yes, I want to make you a better chipper or make you hold more putts or hit the ball longer. But it's so much more than that if you can begin to understand the interior work that needs to go on to give you a chance of true happiness when you go out onto the golf course, to be in this state of mind of calmness, to not get so wound up when you hit a poor shot, and especially when you go into tournament play. You know, I've seen many players playing for their living, so they're playing at the top of the game, and they change so much when the gun goes off on a Thursday afternoon or a Thursday morning. So listen, let me take you through some of the ideas that have made a change for me and some of the players that I work with, and I hope it's going to have as bigger impact on you guys as it's had on me. Now, this is Dave Marsh, this is iGolftv, and we're changing the way you think about playing golf. So a new understanding of golf is all about taking you to a different place. I used in the first video my understanding of learning rather than burning, and this was a really large breakthrough for me. What I found is that every time I went out onto the golf course, I had this constant pressure overtaking me. What would I play like? What would people think of me? How would people judge me? All of these different elements going out onto the golf course. No matter what level you're at, you're going to experience some or all of these things that I'm talking about. So a new level of understanding, it's really understanding that we have this different kind of self-talk within us. Now you may have heard things in the past about kind of a devil or an angel that's talking to you, but I have a different understanding and a different way to be able to explain this to you. We basically have a true self and a false self, and the true self is on a very quiet mode. Imagine if we had two stereo systems here with us now. So the one stereo on the left hand side is playing on a scale of 1 to 100, and it's only on a volume level of 10. Whereas the false self is the stereo on the right hand side, and that's playing permanently at a volume of 100. And so that's giving you all these different thoughts all the time. It wants to be active. In a game of golf, it's telling you things like, watch out for the trouble on the left. What about all the practice you did yesterday? Are you going to fail today? Are you going to do well? It sometimes can be a mix of positive and negative things. And a new understanding is starting to realize that we don't have to be swept along by all of these thoughts. And what I suddenly realized is this self-talk that's coming to us can be quietened down. We can make a choice to step away from all that self-talk. We don't have to be in a world where this self-chatter is just continuous. And when you begin to realize that something is talking to you that isn't necessarily you, that these thoughts that are coming to you aren't necessarily built by you, it's built by a nature within all of us, you start to be able to free yourself and start to be able to look at the game in a completely different way. Let me introduce you to the true self golfer versus the false self golfer. Now, I believe many of us are playing the game of golf from the false self nature. And what that means is you have so much self-talk. It's almost as if this self-talk that's coming to you is just out of control. Yet because you don't realize the difference, you're just listening to every piece of information, especially because you think you're the one creating it. And what I began to understand from a very specialized teacher is that actually we have two voices talking to us. The problem is one of the voices is very, very quiet. The other voice is exceptionally loud, and the other voice basically just lives on adrenaline. It lives on emotion. It wants drama. So anything that it can do to create drama. And drama comes in so many different forms. It can come even in a form of confidence. Confidence can be a type of drama. And so you walk into a round of golf and you're confident. You're telling players that you're playing well. You're telling other playing partners or maybe family members that you're going to go out there and have a great tournament or have a great championship match. And you know what? This is just this drama that's building in with you. It's getting ready to be able to create a story. And that's the problem. The problem is the story that you're telling yourself or that you're being led by. And what I began to realize is the true self golfer doesn't need a story. It doesn't need this false level of confidence. And that's the more I can begin to introduce you to quieting down this false self golfer and becoming this true self golfer, you're definitely going to have a different level of golf and a different level of understanding. So to explain a little bit more about the true self golfer and to help you understand, I found one of the key factors of breaking free from this false self is honesty. So let me tell you a little bit. I made some notes about my old game and I want you to understand. Now many of you out there think of me as being a really great golfer. They wonder I even get questions saying, why aren't you playing on the PGA Tour? Or why aren't you doing this? Or why aren't you winning this tournament? And the truth is, before I recorded season 4, I was really struggling at times with my own game. I could teach golf, but I couldn't go out there and play. And I realized it was because I was so caught up with this false self golfer. So let me read you a little of what I wrote about the notes of the false self golfer that I believe I used to be. I was scared of everything. Even easy shots were difficult for me. It didn't mean that I couldn't hit a shot to 2 feet, but I'd still have a lot of trepidation. I'd still have worry. I'd still have visions of would I thin this ball? Would I fat this ball? I honestly thought the reason for playing golf was to prove to others. I was so wrapped up in what people thought of me that it didn't allow me to release myself. So I could stand there on the driving range and I could be hitting ball after ball after ball. And then someone who I didn't even know would walk up next to me. And suddenly that next golf ball that I was about to hit, it wasn't for me. It was to prove to this person. It was to get them to think of me in a certain way. And this was a nature that I didn't realize was going on inside of me. And you may recognize this same person in you. I was searching for a swing thought that would fix everything. I really thought there was this magical piece of technique out there that could stop me feeling this fear. And now I realize, of course there isn't one secret to this game. And that's why I'm introducing you to the interior work as well, because we need to come at this from a full circle. So much fear of disaster, it made me uncomfortable to even think about going out there to play. I even remember times where people would invite me to play, especially players that might be off a kind of 10 handicap, that actually thought that I was this amazing player. I would be fearful about going and ruining the image that they had of me the following day. And this was really interesting to me. I'd be driving to a game of golf that was supposed to be casual, was supposed to be fun. And I'd be going through the nerves and the pressure of feeling as if, you know what, I had something to prove. I remember being like a ticking time bomb. Walking to the golf course, walking to the first tee, not really sure what was going to happen. And this self-talk was overcoming to me. I had all these thoughts over and over again. I mean, did you know there's around 86,000 seconds in each day? And we have something like 79,000 thoughts. Now, obviously, that's almost a thought a second. And once I began to understand what the true self-golfer was, I began to realize that so many of these thoughts were just overtaking me. And can you imagine what happens in a pressurized situation? Do you think we have more or less thoughts? Of course we have more thoughts. So these thoughts were becoming almost more than once a second. Now you can imagine the overload that was happening when I was in that position. If you were having 2, 3, 4 thoughts a second, to me, it was almost like we had this pipe and all these thoughts trying to get through in one go. And that just never was going to work. And that's why I suddenly realized this false self, this false nature, wasn't in my best interest. Let me read you some more stuff. I'd pretend to look forward to playing. I'd have people around me that really I was basically bluffing about the position that I was in. I would really try and almost self-talk myself into saying that I'm looking forward to something, when in fact I was the one who truly knew I was dreading what was coming. And the same would come when I'd get out onto the golf course. There'd be certain times in the round where I'd begin to feel calm. I'd begin to be like the swan on the surface. But then what I realized is this swan could dive straight underwater so quickly, and that wasn't a place that made me feel comfortable. It wasn't a place that made me feel happy, and it made me not want to be in that situation or not want to be out on the golf course. A couple of other things that I noticed as well. I'd always be full of excuses. I'd always be able to tell you why I wasn't playing well, why I hadn't been hitting balls that week. I'd actually have a whole back catalogue of excuses just waiting, just ready under the surface, because I knew on so many occasions when I failed to live up to the expectations maybe that I had of myself, or especially that others had of me, I'd have this great long laundry list of excuses. Excuses are something that we use to protect ourselves, but in actual fact, it's there and it's really poisoning us. We shouldn't have these excuses. We shouldn't need to give an explanation. We don't owe anybody anything. The final things I began to realize about myself is that the expectation was so great, the proving to others was so great, that it didn't give me an opportunity to relax. It didn't give me an opportunity to go out there and just have fun. And that is basically going to cause this head explosion. And that's what I felt. And so I was always playing with a very tight grip on my golf club. Even when I talk to you in videos about having this soft grip, my grip would get gradually and gradually tighter, especially on more difficult shots. Now, you know what? I was fortunate. I was able to recognize that this wasn't my true self golfer. This was a false self golfer that had been built, even from my young days of playing golf and other sports, were basically conditioned in this way. And the more I can help you understand that you're conditioned the same way as I was and help you to break free from that. So let me tell you about some of the things now that I recognize when I go and play golf. More about the true self golfer, and hopefully you'll recognize some of these characteristics as things you'd like to share in your game of golf.